Hello, Mark Redler here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining me. Today, I'm ready, got my coffee, uh, set to go. I'm doing this at a little after 7 in the morning. And God put into my heart, He wants me to talk about integrity and how that pertains to pretty much everything you do in life. Dream catching, pretty much the backbone of everything. And to start out with, I've got a thing up on my phone here, what integrity is. Uh, it's basically incorruptibility. I mean, you're of your word, soundness. You do what you say you're going to do, and completeness. And it's kind of just, it's of your word. You are a person of your word. What you say goes. I mean, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you say you're going to do this project, you'll do it, and you'll do it to the best of your ability. It's something that I think is greatly lacking, at least in the United States society. I think maybe it's coming back, but integrity, the integrity of this computer is excellent. It's been nothing but great, and pretty much all the equipment I have here has been excellent. Its integrity is excellent. So they sold a good product, and it was what they touted to be, 100%. And and it's kind of like when you go and have the integrity of joining an organization, and you show up, you take part. That's the integrity of that. And it's just there's a lot of different meanings for integrity, and God put it into my heart because I think we don't have the integrity sometimes for ourselves. And with it just being the beginning of 2026, I think the integrity of that we have intentions is and integrity of intentions um, lacks when life happens. And that's when integrity really shows up, because integrity is not too bad when life's easy, when you can just kick back and it's like, yeah, I can do that. But when push comes to shove, which is a weird saying, um, integrity definitely shines or doesn't shine. If you're busy and you said you're going to do, quote, this by this time, and you don't do it and you don't notify them, your integrity is lacking. And I think we do that with ourselves. We always make these New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big fan of resolutions, and I don't think you need to have a date or beginning of New Year's start them. You start them whenever. And I think that's the best integrity. But we have the integrity of going to the gym, losing weight. I've been there. I was there, you know. And I've always had pretty good integrity, but I have definitely more integrity now that I'm aware of what kind of integrity is. I always need the word, but we want to lose 50 pounds. We want to travel. We want to get a different job. We want to, and the integrity's there, but we don't carry out the integrity. And I don't know if that's the right way to phrase that, but life happens. It's easy on New Year's Day when a lot of people are off, not working. You get that kind of high, new year, new start. Yeah. And then life happens. You go back to work, the kids get sick, the car breaks down, uh, and all those things happen. But you got to make what you say non-negotiable. That's when your integrity really does shine. Um, yeah, that's when it gets tough. Get down to brass tacks. I'm fully all these um, sayings, but it is true. Until you do the integrity for yourself, you're probably not going to get your dreams, and you're going to get to the end of your life, and it's like, where to go? And let me tell you, it goes quickly, very quickly. Even when you're just in your 20s, and you'll think, what? I'm 40, I'm 60, whatever. Yeah, it's just like, do it now. Have integrity to yourself. Just like put it put it like on a wall or something, on that, wherever, in your office, in your house, where it's blatantly right there. Integrity, carry out what you truly want, because life will dictate other things, and you have to just say, yeah, I will get that done, but I'm doing this first. This is more important. I want my dream. I want to travel. I want to open a business. I want to, whatever it is, write a book. That's the integrity. to yourself. And the world's waiting for that integrity. And like I was telling Cheryl, my wife, yesterday, integrity really shines in this day and age. At least in the United States, because there's such a lack of integrity. Although I think it is going up. Because I just think that we have so many things in the United States that lack integrity. Health insurance is one of them. Where we got to the point where we have the integrity of the doctors don't get to have the final say. The insurance companies get to say whether something's covered or not. That is total lack of integrity. You're taking all the power away from the doctor who has gone to school to learn all these things and diagnose. And then you have insurance saying, no, we're not going to pay that. You paid your premium, but no, we're not going to pay that. We'll cherry pick which we want you, the cheaper ones. That's too expensive. We don't care about the integrity of your life. We just care that you pay us. And that is one of the most blatant lack of integrity that I can even think of in this country right now. And I'm experimenting with this because I'm not going to do the health insurance game anymore. Not sure what I'm going to do, but yeah, I'm not playing this game anymore because everybody's like, we'll have to have a big thing occur and you'll have all the expenses. We've had big things occur, and you can ask Cheryl and I, health insurance doesn't guarantee you're not going to have huge bills. Probably more than likely, you're going to have even bigger bills because you have insurance, and they have bigger charges for people who have insurance. So anyway, it's too negative, but there's such a lack of integrity in that arena, whatever you want to call it. And there's also, like in some of these appliances, there's a lot of things that are made in the United States that lack integrity, and they're going on their history of their name, but that ends too. And that also ends in your people and integrity of you, what people believe. People will believe what they see. You can have a reputation. I believe a very good reputation, and people believe me because I do what I say. And if I aren't not able to say, I tell them. That's integrity. But we need to show the world, show the people in this country what integrity is. I think some people have never been exposed to integrity. They just see what's on the media, and media lacks integrity greatly. What they show for programming compared to what I was growing up lacks integrity greatly. Not saying there are some awesome shows out there, but there's a lot of stuff that kids should never see. When you expose kids to that kind of garbage, that's lacking integrity. And then we wonder why the kids, although there's awesome kids out there, because some kids rise to the occasion on above that junk. And I'm glad I grew up when I did. And I'd be sure I don't have a smart TV. I don't have anything smart. I guess I have a smartphone, but that's as far as I go on smart. And even then, I'm wondering about that because we have noticed, especially recently, that when the phone's on, it's definitely listening because things we talk about, Cheryl and I, show up as ads. And it's like, I wonder how that ad got to me showing on my screen. It had to be listening. Talk about a lack of integrity, and a criminal too. And so we may just have to shut those off completely. Either that or put them in a box so they can't hear it. And they're probably listening now, and I don't care. That's lacking integrity. And but this all takes down the quality of life. When you have integrity, you don't have a life because you don't know what is actually legit. It's like buying a new appliance. What used to be a good brand and is not anymore. And what is the average brand supposed to last 5 to 7 years? Wow. The one Cheryl and I have washer and dryers that are from the 80s that are still going. And all our appliances are decades old, and they're all awesome. They've all done really, really well. And I wouldn't buy a product and if I have to go and get a different one, I'll buy used. I'm kind of the way on vehicles too, although we've had Subarus and they've been excellent. I think Subaru still gets it. Because the one we have now is approaching 250,000 miles. And it's had some issues, especially the one with the center console thing. Now speaks to us in French, and but it's done its duty. Oh my gosh, and it's been through hitting a deer. It's been through a lot of things. So it's not. And like after sure, it's a blessing. It just is not a blessing when it yells at us going down the road in French, but it's cool. We don't need that center console thing. It's just the radio and all that stuff anyway. And it's kind of fun, actually. And I guess it can speak in every language that that car was sold in. So you might learn other languages. Hey, win-win. So it's also how you look at things. But on this podcast, I try to be positive, and it's sometimes I can go down the rabbit hole. And Cheryl says I get preachy when I'm by myself. I don't want to be preachy. I just want to help people, and I just want kids to have the best life. I don't like all the suicides that go on in this country. It's some places an epidemic. I think that's because we have the lack of integrity. The kids don't know what they have. Parents, when I was growing up, pretty much stayed together. We didn't have the divorce like we have, like it's so commonplace now. But there are awesome families out there too, and they are a beacon. And I think that's maybe why God had me start this podcast, which I'm going to be next month. I'm going to be my 5th year. And on the 12th of this month, I'm going to be doing the 300, it'll be the 350th episode will drop with a gentleman who is definitely has integrity. And yeah, he's definitely a beacon to show you what's right and what integrity is. So there are awesome people, and there's a lot of people when I go to the Y definitely have integrity there. So it's just we need to work on that. We need to work on this thing with the health care, because no person should have to know whether they're going to get something covered or not. And from what I'm hearing, people that have not held health insurance are actually doing better because they don't have the big bills, because they don't know that you don't have the health insurance to pay the bills. So usually the charges are less. And a lot of times there was a lady that had a baby, and it was $14,000 with insurance, and now she's down to $1,400. Something's not right there. So I don't know. I'm still working on that whole thing with the insurance thing. And she's older than I am, so she's on the Medicare, all that thing, and that's also got its issues. But I don't know if it's quite as bad as the Affordable Care Act, and health insurance in general. So I mean, what do you think of integrity? I mean, do you think we're lacking integrity? I always talk, but I would love to hear back what you think. Is integrity waning in this country, or is it resurgent? I'm praying that it's a resurgent, because that's when you get the best. That's when you get the best. Um, and I do see that there's definitely a lot of countries around the world keeping kids from having phones until a certain age. And I do think we need to do that in the United States. Thankful I grew up before those. I mean, they're a good tool. It's what I use, So in this technology I'm using, I love desktop. I love the technology, but it can be all encompassing. I know from what Cheryl, we can doom scroll. I mean, and I've said that in past, podcasts, but kids don't have that maturity to know when to stop. And even as adults, it's tough. It's easy to, like I said, doom scroll, but that's not life. I'm glad I grew up and we had roads, and my sister and I, we played outside, and she rode horses and I rode bikes and all the good stuff that went with childhood when I grew up. And I think so many kids are missing that. But I'm hearing more and more parents, even around here in Nebraska, that are keeping their kids from having phones until a certain age. And I think that's only a gift, because you can do without them. We did. They didn't exist. And I'm glad they didn't exist. We didn't have flip phones. Cell phones weren't even around yet. Such a different world from then, and a more simple world. Integrity was definitely, people were of the word. And granted, there were people that there's always going to be people that, but those kind of people will show you what the people that do have integrity are, and then makes them shine. So, I just think that the most important integrity is the one with you have yourself. Keep your word to yourself. If you want to be an opera singer, just for example, go do the steps necessary. And I know that takes money, but even to starting is the hardest part. It's the hardest thing is starting. If you wait for money to be there, you'll never do it. because life happens. You just got to make it happen. You just got to say, I'm doing this. I'm going to be an opera singer. I'm going to be an author. I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to travel the world. Even if you start traveling across your state, it's starting. Then it becomes almost addictive. Astro and I, we love to travel. And there's so many interesting places we could travel in this world. There's so many interesting places to travel in Nebraska and Kansas. Yeah. But we started. And this podcast, I started thanks to Crystal and, people helping me get started. And Crystal's still doing, I believe, her podcast, maybe not quite as much as she was. But um, still, she's the one that started me on this. I made the decision every time to do this. That's one thing. I'm disciplined. Another thing that is very, very important, and it's a gift to yourself. When I was growing up, I thought discipline, yeah, that sucks. Um, Discipline's what it's about. It's just like this podcast drops on Mondays and Fridays. That is what my thing is. And not saying that I might eventually miss one. And I think maybe I probably has over the years. But that's not it's been the minority rather than the majority. And discipline and integrity will get you so far in life. And that's what we need to teach our kids in school. There's so many things we need to teach our kids in school that they're learning. We need to teach them life skills too. And I think some schools are doing that more. But Cheryl and I were talking again that I had life skills. Her school in Colorado, she didn't get near as much as I did, but she was in a much bigger school. And finally, her parents took her siblings out of the public school, Catholic school, I believe. Um, but yeah, the discipline to do this podcast, I'm doing it, early on a Saturday morning. And because we're gonna go the rest of the day, we're gonna go do some stuff. We're gonna play and celebrate the day like we always do. And that's another thing. It's non-negotiable. We have integrity to know for ourselves. We're going to celebrate every day. Cheryl lived from advanced colon cancer 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago now. And we made the choice that we're going to celebrate because every day is a gift. That's the discipline to do that. It's easy to get life to happening. So, but you need to celebrate. If you just have a, cup of coffee and talk or whatever it is, you have to celebrate those moments. Those are the moments that make life worthwhile. Worthwhile. Might worthwhile, who knows? But yeah, you just do it. And then we're going to support an awesome gentleman that is starting his podcast. And I'm not going to say because I don't want to take his thunder away. He's having a big announcement and he's having a really big deal. And I'm so proud of him. And yeah, he was a great podcast guest. It's probably been a couple years ago now. And he's got such a backstory. And he's amazing. And I am so proud of him. And he will go far because he is as genuine as you get. And real is what it's about. It's not about AI. AI might have potential to do some good, but AI has a potential to do a lot of damage. And just like on this, I will have to go through everything on the transcript of what I just said to make sure AI hasn't put in some terrible words because it has a habit of doing that. And like I told my wife, it's never positive. And yeah, talked about lack of integrity. And I don't know if it can have integrity because it's soulless, which is even more scary. Because if we have something soulless running our stuff, God help us. And that's one thing. It probably won't use the word God. It'll put some other word in there, and I will have to switch it over to God. So it knows what it's doing. Yeah, that's enough about AI. It does have potential, but it's got to be controlled and greatly controlled. And this free for all has got to end. But I don't want something soulless running our world. No, and I don't believe God will let that happen anyway. God's in control of everything. And if you don't believe it, you will still find out. I talk to him daily. He's the one that put the idea of integrity into my mind. And I found that my thoughts are not my own. God puts them in, and I can see sometimes him putting it in my head. And you think maybe I'm crazy, but I'm not. So yeah, and I know why he wants me to write books. And time will tell. With him pushing me, It will happen. So, so on that, I think that that's enough. Um, yeah, where I'm at now, I would have thought I was crazy myself, but God's God's crosses my path with the most awesome people, and it's comforting to know He's here in a world full of AI, and that's how I get through the day. So, and I believe that all came from Cheryl's cancer, because that's when I started talking to God, and so cancer, it was a gift, and it was really a gift that Cheryl lived past having cancer, but it was definitely a gift that, God, I surrendered. What do you do? And Cheryl surrendered too. What did she have to do? She had a 14% chance of living. Pretty much have to surrender. So, in the long run, looking back, it was a gift, and that's weird to say that cancer was a gift. I don't know if Cheryl feels it that way, but I definitely think it was a gift. So, on that, thank you for joining me in this episode of The Dreamcatcher about integrity, discipline, God, you name it, a little bit of everything. You never know what you're going to get on this podcast. And thank you for listening. I look forward to doing the next podcast. And I pray that you continue to listen and tell people about this podcast. That would be such a gift to myself, Cheryl, and hopefully yourself. So on that, take care. Sending love. Bye.